everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at a follow-up to one of the first releases for the Year of the Horse and 5T Toys 10th anniversary Godspeed. I saw this figure announced, and overall it's a really cool design. More recently I'm trying to step away from buying any recolors or slight remolds and that kind of thing, but this one was just too good to pass up. So a little bit of a callback for those of you who haven't seen it. Godspeed is the first and only Beastbox that I've given a perfect score. I did a full review for Godspeed several weeks ago. Being that it's such a great figure mold, yes, I had to buy into that twice. So I guess the question is, how is Fire Bolt going to compare? We're going to take a look at that as this video progresses. So for this review, I'll do an unboxing, we'll take a look at its package contents, I'll do a reverse transformation from its box mode into its horse mode, we'll take a close look at some figure details, and then I'll wrap it up with a box grade and some final comments. So let's jump right in. Starting off, obviously we got to get it out of the package. Ooh, that is interesting. So they did not pack this figure in a standard cardboard package with a plastic bubble insert. For whatever reason, they packaged this figure in some very secure, dense foam. And that's what you got inside. Not sure why they did that, but overall I think it's a nice presentation for this figure. And it obviously keeps things pretty secure in the box, so I am not complaining by any means. So what else came in the box is we have instructions, got a bunch of catalogs and things, and a character card. And we got some collectible cards here. So we'll take a quick look at this character card. It's got some nice artwork on it, kind of replicates the front of the package, obviously. And a standard blank backside, so nothing fancy or spectacular here. Nothing in the way of a character bio or any exposition or anything like that, but yeah, it's a nice card. Now, as far as what came in the box, you've got a little stand for your figure for the top of the box charger. You got a very nice looking custom box charger. You got its bird hood ornament thing, I'm not exactly sure what that is. And you have the figure itself with its legs, for some reason, standing stock straight up. Don't believe they packaged Godspeed that way if I remember correctly, so that is a little unusual. Not sure why they did that. Now, as far as the package itself, what I will say is this is a stiffer, more of a corrugated cardboard box. So again, I'm not sure why they went with some reinforced packaging for this particular figure. Interesting that they did, you know, a little more secure packaging and a little sturdier box, that's for sure. So there again, you got some nice artwork of the figure, and it's got a glossy spot code here. Interesting artwork, and of course, this is BB-75FB Fire Bolt. Now, there's a slight bit of contention among Beastbox collectors questioning why this slight remold of this figure, it has a different head on it, has the same number designation as Godspeed, which is not how they've typically done it in past for figures that have had a slight remold or whatever. To that example, you have the parrots. They are slightly different head molds, and they were totally different figure numbers. Same for the ox, the bull, and the horse, lava, and hell, even the male and female crabs, those have different numbers. So it is a good question, you know, why they did it this way. Maybe they're trying to dial back on their numbering system. I don't know. They're approaching 100, and who knows what 5T Toys is going to do once they hit 100. I mean, that's going to happen within, what, 3 years maybe? Maybe they'll go to a triple digit system. Who knows? We'll see when we get there, I guess. More details about here. You got cube mode, beast mode, obviously. More details about the figure, everything that comes in the box. And something else that's interesting here, I have to point out, is it's been kind of a traditional joke where they have instruction on the back of the package, and the back of the package doesn't actually show instructions. It just shows what's in the box, basically. On this one, they're calling it contents. Can't remember what they had it on Godspeed, but it was definitely something different. It did not say instruction on it, so I guess they're more or less stepping away from that a little bit. You got produced by X2R, of course. Product name is officially Beastbox Fire Bolt. More beautiful artwork, more details and things. Yeah, kind of your standard information on the box for the most part. And of course, there's the horse itself, Fire Bolt. We're going to take a look at some figure details here in just a little bit, but what I want to do first off is do a reverse transformation from box mode into beast mode. It's kind of a counterpoint to what I did for Godspeed, where I showed the traditional beast to box mode transformation. So we're going to pull this guy off to the side for a second, and there's your box mode. Forms a pretty nice looking cube. We'll see how it fits inside this box charger. Perfect fit. So obviously one thing I'll point out is the platform for its stand came attached to the box charger inside the package, which I'm sure you already saw. And that can come off just like that. So I've had a lot of critiques about this 2.0 style box charger with the extra knobs and ports and stuff like that. This is the first figure design where they're actually making use of that box charger's extra holes. And in this case, they're making it an actual stand for the figure. And there are a couple of extra parts that come with that. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on when we get this thing transformed. One thing I want to point out real quick about this box charger is its styling, which is really kind of nice. You got the sort of metallic red flake paint effect here. And on the front here, we got this custom customized logo, lava dynamic. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. That is something that's interesting. And you get this orange halftone effect here on the sides here. It's a really nice touch. Beautiful presentation all the way around. And of course, these silver legs. I don't think I've ever seen 5.2 Toys do this with a box charger before, so this is something completely unique into itself. Pretty damn cool. You basically got 3 paint applications on this particular box charger. Overall, it looks great. It's thoughtfully done. Just a very nice design box charger altogether. And of course, you got the figure inside, which we are going to transform into its beast mode. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is take these silver bits here and flip them up like so. Once you get them here, you're going to flip them over and around, and they're going to connect with that tab right there. And once you got those pieces out, you're going to take out these legs and you're going to swing them out and away from the body like so. Then we're going to disconnect the hind legs here. And just be aware that they're connected by some long tabs here on the sides. So you're just going to want to make sure you're pulling from about here to disconnect them. So you see that tab right there. You don't want to put any stress on that. So just grab a hold of it from the bottom there. Pop it out like that. That'll keep it from getting stressed. Now we're going to disconnect another couple of parts here. So we're going to take the centerpiece here, pull that out and away, and then also the tail piece. That's just going to fold out. Probably get your fingernail in there. Fold that straight out, and then we're going to remove that piece, separate it from the midsection here like that. And once we got that done, we can go ahead and swing the legs back a little bit, get them back and out of the way here, about that position. And at this point, or at any time from here on, you can rotate this piece around 180 degrees. This is actually the tail end of the horse here. This is the top orientation, obviously. Then we're going to disengage the head and neck from the center mass. You're just going to want to pull it like I did there from this top section here. See how that snaps in? Just grab a hold of it with your forefinger right there and pull it down. You need the leverage to get it to pop out like that. Then we'll rotate this piece down, rotate the head out like so. Then we can rotate the head around 180 degrees. We'll rotate this whole center mass section here up and back into that cavity. And you'll probably need to bring the head down just to make sure it's got enough clearance here. And you hear that snap into place there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take these flaps that are folded on the inside. You're going to rotate those pieces around like so. Bring that out. And it's basically a cover for the chest piece, so you'll just rotate that up, slide it into place like that. So the head and neck connection might be the trickiest part going from box mode into beast mode. You're going to want to rotate from this hinge here and kind of bring that up. You're going to bring this piece up and over, and these tab pieces in here are going to have to connect into that internal tab. So you just need to rotate it in a way that they line up. So you bring that up and over, bring that in like that. So it's just one that you need to be mindful of where things line up. Now we can connect the tail end here. Just bring that down, connect it there. And you're going to use this connection port, connect it on the bottom there, and then we can start unfurling the legs here. So we're just going to disconnect those pieces, bring them down like so, straighten them out. Same on the back side, bring them down and out. We'll rotate the hoof around 180 degrees. Something to note here is the back hooves here are on ball sockets, but the front ones are on sort of like a dumbbell hinge. Just be aware of that difference there. Rotate that down and around. Now you want to bring the front legs out 90 degrees like so. You're going to rotate from this hinge around 180 degrees like that. Then we're going to rotate these pieces down, these chest pieces from that hinge. You bring them down like so. They have opposing tabs here, so what you're going to do is you're going to swing the legs in from these hinges, and you're going to connect these pieces together. You do have a tab and post connection here, so you're just going to want to make sure that connects on the side there, like so. Same on the opposite side, and you'll connect these pieces together, of course. Yeah, just make sure you have everything scrunched together. Anyways, you're going to rotate the chest piece down. There are some tabs in here that it's supposed to snap into place into. There we go. Just takes a little wiggling to get that piece to fold back into place here. But yeah, it's a solid connection there, so that chest piece isn't going anywhere. Last bits here, you're just going to bring out the horse head, and you're going to rotate the head up, bring the ears out, and that's basically it. And you got yourself a very cool looking robot horse. So we can touch on some styling here. So it has a lot of interesting design cues. Overall, it's very cool looking. I do dig this sort of visor headpiece here, kind of the eyeless thing here. Inside that, you do have some interesting texture detail. You got a little bit of a honeycomb pattern here, and you do have some silver accents. Of course, predominantly on the chest piece, but also on the nose here, kind of the upper jaw. A lot of dark gray on black plastic here. And of course, you have these transparent orange hooves and the hind legs here. Overall, yeah, it's just a nice looking little piece here. And you do have quite a bit of interesting graphic styling here. So there are some color halftone patterns. I guess looking at this more closely, I think this is more of a hex pattern right here on the neck. You got a little bit of that on the tail piece here. And of course you have the land animal faction symbol here. Some nice little geometric bits here, the requisite caution type graphics. Yeah, I love this semicircle design here. It has some racing style cues. So this is sort of like an engine cover, and you got the machine parts on the inside here. And again, like with Godspeed, you got this carbon fiber styling here on the sides here, and on the legs, it's a pretty nice touch. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting to me that I took notice of, well, looking at it more closely, something else that may not show up on camera is they kind of went all out on a bunch of different styles for this particular figure. The main body and neck elements and that kind of thing of the horse are kind of like a matte black, but at least on this shoulder piece, this part right here, that's sort of a flake paint black effect. And again, that might not be picking up on camera, but it's definitely a flake paint effect here, and then kind of on the chest or the engine cowl cover, whatever you want to call that. But then there's matte black on the back here. But another interesting design element that I saw that I thought was pretty cool is there's essentially a double hit of printing on here. So you have the orange of the hex sort of halftone pattern here, but then you have an extra hit of this metallic gold paint for the lava crack effects, which I think looks pretty darn cool. And you see that all over the figure, essentially on the legs and on the neck. There again, more transparent orange panels. This panel is a different color from the orange hooves, so something to note there. And again, that might be kind of subtle to pick up on camera here, but they printed sort of this black geometric pattern here on this part of the chest. Not sure why they did that. So it's a lot of cool details for sure. And we're going to talk about this in just a second here. But stylistically, I would say this piece is kind of all over the place, and it's a little bit inconsistent in how it's used. So you have the orange hooves here, you know, obviously, and you have this sort of burgundy red for the lower shin part of the leg here. But then on the back legs, it's a gray part for this piece between the hoof and the shin here. So I'm not sure why they did that. And at the extremities, the hooves, of course, that's a transparent red. But on the tail, it goes from that transparent orange to kind of a burgundy red tip here. So they kind of went opposite on that for some reason. There are, again, more extremities on the head and mane, transparent orange plastic. Looks great, but from a design point of view, I kind of feel like this would have been more effective if they kept the graphic styling simpler and kind of kept it consistent and thematically more concise. I mean, overall, it really is a cool design, but I just have that sense that whoever designed this thing kept reaching into 5-2 Toys bag of tricks and didn't really know when to stop. I'm kind of the school that I think simpler and more concise and consistent is better. And I think they kind of went a little over the top on this particular figure. So I think that's a key difference between this particular figure and Godspeed is with Godspeed, they showed restraint. They kept that design clean and simple and on point. And on this one, they just kind of went all over the place with it. It kind of takes away from the character study just a little bit, if you know what I mean. Getting back to it here. So what I was alluding to before is this particular figure says lava dynamic on it. Being that this is a racehorse, I mean, there's absolutely no question in my mind that this figure is intended to be the replacement for lava, being Lava 2.0. I mean, obviously the color scheme isn't identical, but I mean, the name is right there on the side of this horse, so which came essentially as a remold, the trilogy, I guess if you want to call it that, of the ox, the bull, and the horse mold, what they made into a horse mold anyways. And I think just over time, 5-2 Toys has gotten so good at their engineering and their product design and whatever that they kind of went back with this horse design and said, you know what, we can do something a lot cooler with that. And they sure as hell did. This particular figure, I've always liked. I've never had an issue with. It is kind of a boxy design. It's kind of dated, very simplistic in its styling, obviously, and its articulation and all that. This is like next level. This is peak 5-2 Toys Beastbox. I don't think they could get any better with product design on than what they did for this particular figure. Yeah, as far as its articulation, we can talk about that a bit. You got a couple of points of articulation, well, 3 really, on its head. You turn left and right. This particular figure does have that articulated neck piece that I always thought was really interesting. They kind of took a design cue from the dog mold, or at least the German Shepherd and the Doberman Pinscher molds. You can rotate up and down, left and right. You also have a second joint, so it can kind of lean forward, essentially. So you can really get its head stretched out in essentially a racing pose. Tons of articulation in the legs and the hooves here. So all kinds of posturing. You could definitely show this figure in some very dynamic poses. Very easy to manipulate. Same with the back legs here. Rotate the hooves any which way you need to. Get that kicked back, whatever you want to do. Got a little bit of articulation in the tail here, of course. While we're here, let's just set him aside for a second. Go ahead and put this thing together. Basically just slide that piece in there, and if you want, now here's something else that's kind of interesting is this companion piece. I'm not sure what you would call it. I guess the Spirit of Speed Bird, something like that. It's a metallic gold, but it's kind of like a mustardy metallic gold, but they took it another level over Godspeed. Godspeed's piece was a simplistic one color piece of plastic, and this one they actually painted, and they also added a second color of black here on for some accent details on the turbines and on the tail fin there. Little extra nice detail on this particular piece for Lava 2.0 or Fire Bolt, which by the way is a very cool name for a figure. I'll tell you, 52 Toys has a very strong track record of designing and naming their figures with a lot of thoughtful detail. There's always some sort of a reference for the figure itself. Oftentimes it's rock bands and that kind of thing. In this case, they just picked out a really cool name, so I think that's awesome. Anyways, yes, this piece slides on just like that. Then you have a 5mm and a 3mm peg on here, and that connects directly to the bottom of the figure, so you can just attach them on there like that. So I'm not sure why, but this seems to be kind of top heavy on this particular figure, or at least sort of front top heavy, if you will. I don't recall having an issue getting this thing to stand up correctly for Godspeed, but for some reason it doesn't really want to stand up on this figure. That is interesting. I'm not sure why. Can always add some more box charges, maybe add a little bit of weight to it, and that'll kind of take care of it essentially. I'm going to say for this particular figure, at least to have it displayed in this mode, you kind of probably want to have some other boxes with it or some other weight because it doesn't really seem to want to stand on its own. Yeah. That is unfortunate. And of course, if you saw my Godspeed review, you already know that I kind of found that 3.5-inch action figures do scale really well with this particular figure. So you can have a little dude on the back of them here riding them, which I think is really damn cool. Very nice. Now it's time to give this Blazing Bronco a box grade. This is my rating system of 6 categories of 5 points each for a total score of anything from 0 to 30 points. For this figure's rating, the obvious point of comparison is Godspeed, so I'm going to spare you the long-winded explanation on each and every category score. If you do want to hear a detailed breakdown, check out my full Godspeed review. I'll have a link to that in the description. The only thing I'm changing today is the character score. Fire Bolt really is a great looking figure, but there are some inconsistent design cues and way too many graphic applications. It's kind of all over the place with too many ideas, which does detract from the character a bit. Like I mentioned before, the difference with Godspeed's aesthetic is that one was much more restrained and focused. 4 out of 5. Other than that, I can't find anything that I'd rate any different from Godspeed. Fire Bolt has identical features, transformation, and articulation. Everything on this figure feels solid and very well built, including its transparent hooves, and importantly, this is a fun figure. So that brings the box grade total to 29 out of 30. That's a look at BB-75FB Fire Bolt. A couple of relatively minor nitpicks aside, this is a stellar release and a high watermark of the kind of figure that 52 Toys is capable of producing. I hope you're enjoying your summer so far. If you can take a moment to help my channel stay alive by leaving a like or a comment, I'll appreciate it. Thanks. I'll catch you in the next one.